Hey guys, welcome back. Hopefully this video won't be the same disaster that our last video of the Enduro 12 was. But today we're looking at another new rig in the fleet. Well, this is not new in the fleet. This is new on the channel. And it's a rig that I've actually built quite a long time ago, but I've never driven. This is Tire Rack 2.0. Tire Rack 2.0 is technically mostly a spare parts rig. But the purpose on the channel is going to be, he is going to test some of our more comp-oriented tires because he's a little bit more of a comp-oriented rig. And then I think he might do some of our side-by-side comparisons down the road. So when we have two tires that we want to compare side-by-side, we might run him on those on Tire Rack 2.0. Or they might still run on Tire Rack. I have not decided. But if nothing else, Tire Rack 2 is just going to be a fun rig for me to drive. And today we are christening him on the rocks and doing a test and tune. So the majority of components on Tire Rack 2.0 have seen their way around the fleet. They've been on other rigs, and they've all just kind of come one way or another to be on Tire Rack 2. Side hill performance so far, looking pretty good. I see some minor suspension adjustments that I might make. But nothing too bad. Nothing immediately telling me to make adjustments yet, actually. We'll continue to drive them and see. So, what is Tire Rack 2.0? I'm going to stop saying 2.0. It's a mouthful. It's Tire Rack 2. Tire Rack 2 is a little bit of a bastard, I guess, in the sense. Maybe I shouldn't say it that way. He's a mutt. So chassis wise, we are running a Rock Pirates Interceptor flat rail chassis. We are running a Bauhaus LCG skid with a Stealth X transmission, the original Stealth X, not the Stealth XF. And we are running Team K&K overdrive in that Stealth X, like 26%. Driven by the Stealth X are some SSD Diamond Pro portal axles. Inside of those portals are just regular AR44 gearing and the portal gearing that come with the Diamond Pro portal axles. Forgive me if the audio is a little weird. I'm using the lapel mic again because the wind is unexpectedly windy this morning. I'm hoping it dies down later in the day as the sun's in the sky. We had some weird weather changes yesterday, Sunday. So today's Tuesday. Sunday and yesterday, it was like the high was 40. And today the high is going to be 65. But right now we're still in that mid 40s. So going to be an interesting day. Fall is always interesting here in Kansas. The tires currently on Tire Rack 2 are our Upgrade RC Rock Claws, a tire which quickly became a favorite of mine. It's a tire which I did not think much of when I ordered them. I kind of thought it would be a RTR tire quality or RTR quality tire because it's just kind of an A-Main house brand, if you will. And I do not mean that negatively about A-Main, not that they're not capable of doing good things, but just who would have thought that, you know, they would release tires that are actually very competitive. You would just think that they would be more of an RTR quality. I can't explain why. I guess I would think that. I thought that. So one thing I'm seeing with Tire Rack 2 is I need to firm up the rear suspension a bit, which I may do that with stiffer springs, or I may do that, honestly, I might do that with a little preload, or we might do that by angling them a little less. Speaking of the suspension, right now, because I think with properly tuned suspension, yeah, Rock Claws might be the first tire that slow pulls this obstacle without having to resort to a throttle. Portal's probably helping. These are friction, I believe they call them recoil shocks. So friction, I'm not real sure how this relationship works, but Pitbull has their chronic shocks, which are a beautiful gold anodized. Hang on, I about fell over. A beautiful gold anodized shock. Pretty good quality shocks, but man, they cost. This is not where I normally stand, is it? Sorry, guys. They cost $100, and $100 for a pair of two. So $200 for a set of four of those. Friction recoils, from what I can tell, are the exact same shock. They don't have the gold bodies. They're like a silver and red anodized body. But they're less than half the cost. They're like $45 for a pair of two, which is still, you know, that's not cheap. You're really in DriveTech territory there. But it's not $100 for a pair of two. But I mean, down to the sticker sheet, you can tell the same company who makes Chronics for Pitbull is making the friction recoil. So I'm not sure if Friction has some sort of a relationship with Pitbull, because I believe they have some class 1 tires that are also like Pitbull tires. They just call them something different than what Pitbull does. Not class 1, sorry. Micro comp. Like, I meant 1.0 tires, like 1.0 beadlock size tire. I'm not real sure what the relationship is there. Maybe somebody can educate me if you know. But anyway, these are friction recoil shocks, but spring wise, I am running axial springs. I believe these are axial purple band springs from like the 10-3 shock. So far, they seem to be doing pretty well. Now, I believe I need to look. I have when I build a rig like this, I write down kind of stuff that I'm doing, and I forgot to look at that or bring it with me. But I do believe we have a pretty heavyweight oil in these, like a 60 or 70 weight oil in these shocks. Man, this rig drives nicely. It's very, very smooth. It's very quiet. I love Tire Rack, and I have a lot of hours on that rig. But I got to tell you, I'm liking the way this thing drives. I'm not saying that sometime in the future, Tire Rack 2.0 won't become part of our go-to tire testing, and that Tire Rack might become more of a class 1 tire platform because he's already serving dual purpose. But I'm not saying that that's not going to happen. Part of the smoothness with 2.0, I'm attributing to that Holmes 2-in-1. I've got the Holmes 2-in-1 2300 kV in here because he is running portal axles, and so having that extra wheel speed with portals is always nice. Ooh, let's grab us a cover photo. That looks pretty nice. What about one with the wheels turned? Right about there looks pretty nice. Okay, sorry. Get to watch the filming in process. And I guess spoiler alert, Tire Rack is getting a Holmes 2-in-1 here in the next couple weeks, but he's getting the 1800 kV 2-in-1 because, as I've mentioned, I used to run a Hobbywing 1200, a Fusion SE 1200, and I loved it. And then I decided when I started the channel and I wanted to do tire testing, there were enough instances where I wanted the extra wheel speed that I wanted to put a higher kV motor in it. And I had a Fusion Pro that I had ordered for another project that I ended up going Outrunner with. And so I had that Fusion Pro sitting there. So I put that Fusion Pro in Tire Rack. But I've always felt like 2300 kV was a little bit more than I wanted for him. And I've even mentioned I might go back to a Fusion SE and buy an 1800 kV. But then I decided I want to run 4S because I want the Three Brothers servos that I run in Tire Rack to operate at their full capability. And I decided, you know, the Fusions can't run 4S, they're 3S only. And so I was going to completely go a different route. I was going to put an Outrunner or something different in it, maybe even go brushed. Because I had no idea that Holmes was making the 2-in-1 with anything other than a 2300 kV motor. When they originally came out, and I ordered the motor that I put into 2.0 here, the 2300 Holmes, I ordered this, I pre-ordered this. 2300 was the only option that was available. And I don't always keep up with things. And quite honestly, I even felt like if they had a 1200 kV 2-in-1, I would do the 1200 because I'm going to be running 4S. So although I'm dropping back down to an 1800 kV motor in Tire Rack, being that I'm running 4S, wheel speed is not going to be that much different. Although with the 1800 kV motor, I'm going to have more room to play with pinion size. So I think I'll be able to. So it's normal on that obstacle. But that was a suspension tuning issue. I don't know if I need to firm up suspension. Maybe I just need to get drive time because it is stable. I think I just need drive time. So anyway, when that motor comes in and I install it and start running 4S, we'll probably play around with pinions. I think I'll be able to get the wheel speed exactly where I want it. But one thing that I'm already noticing from Tire Rack 2 and that Holmes 2-in-1, so this is a 2300 kV Holmes 2-in-1. I run a 2300 kV Fusion Pro in Tire Rack 2. This is smoother. Now this is a 10-pole motor, which I do not believe the Fusion is. I don't actually know for sure what the Fusion is. Maybe I should look, because maybe they have the specs listed. I've never seen it listed, but I've never really looked for it. Sorry about my shadow. The sun will move here in the next hour or two, and it won't be a problem here anymore. But I've kind of got to stand here. This is one of the only places that I can film and see. Now, you remember with Tire Rack, the upgrade Rock Claws walked up this slowly right away. I'm already noticing the front suspension unloading more than it does with Tire Rack. So we definitely need to do some suspension tuning. This tire has the grip, which honestly, that grip right now is causing part of the problem. It's causing our front suspension to unload because I don't have enough forward dive. Now, part of this could be weight bias. The unfortunate side with these portals is they don't have brass available. And so I think we've got pretty close to a 50-50 weight bias. I'm running the battery on a slider, and I might need to see if I can't locate that up front somehow. Or I might just have to put some lead. Also, with the portals, we're wider, and so coming onto this obstacle is a bit different. But there's definitely some suspension tuning that needs to be done. Because we come on, it pulls on fine, and then we start unload, that front suspension unloads, and it wants to just pitch me over backwards. So you saw it slow walking. We can settle the front. We'll go a little further, but it immediately just picks up that front suspension. So we need more dive, which we might be able to do with rear suspension link tuning, but I think we need to do some shock tuning. And part of shock tuning might be different shocks. I'm not sold on these shocks. These are something I had, you know, being that this is kind of a comp inspired build, maybe we should just go right to Dravs. That passenger, or that driver side, so the driver side of the rock, we've got some pockets in it. Where's my finger? Right here and like here. And what's happening is that that tire is falling into those pockets and it's wanting to pitch us over backwards. Now, one of the issues that you have not seen that issue with tire, or one of the reasons that you have not seen that issue with Tire Rack, is because his suspension is tuned. He runs factory element suspension with the SE parts on it. But he's also a little bit narrower. These SSD portals are about as wide as Capra axles, so we definitely got a wider stance, but we definitely need to do suspension tuning. So I don't know how many of these steep obstacles we're going to be able to get, because, man, it just wants to pick that front end right up. We get torque twist. If I can bump up here and avoid that corner of the rock, maybe. Yeah, it just wants to. The nice thing with the rock claws is they're able to come onto this about any way you would want. But now we just got to get the suspension to cooperate. Look at that. I mean, the passenger side of the truck is completely unloaded. Passenger front is off the ground. We're going to roll out again. All right, well, I don't think we're going to get up this obstacle because of suspension, but I already know what I'm going to do, I think. So a lot of times with portal rigs, I will run 80 millimeter shocks instead of 90 millimeter shocks, because that can help you with issues like this, because, you know, the added clearance from the portals gives you higher center of gravity. What the heck? And 80 millimeter shocks can help you offset that. But something else I like to do is run 92 millimeter Dravtex with their, they have offset shock caps that you can put on them that give you the same travel that you would get with a 90, but then your ride height is like it would be with an 80. I believe 2.0 may be getting some of those. We'll see. We're going to have to fool around with shocks. I don't want to change the stance of him much. I like the ride height. I like the stance. And I don't really want to lose travel. So this is an obstacle where this wider axle might actually be a problem, or, yeah, we'll see right now. Oh, you know what? With portals, I don't even know if I'm going to get the diff hang up. Maybe because the axle's wider, I will. Yeah, we still will, because we're wider. So I can dip that driver side tire down in there, and we'll still get that hang up. Can we pull off, though? Yeah, it's still a nasty hang up to pull off of without a taller tire. Oof. Yeah, there we go. We can still do it, but I'm going to have to figure out how to drive that a little better with this guy. So far, the only thing I'm going to change that I want to change is going to be suspension. Links are hardcore RC. I believe I just did factory like 10.2 links. See, that's not bad. Okay, so there is something I want to see. Oh, these bead locks. These are Gearhead RC bead locks. Hard to get a hold of these days, but I love these bead locks. So one thing that I had heard complaints of with the Holmes 2-in-1, especially from people who were coming from a Hobbywing system, was drag brake. And John has a couple videos explaining this, how, you know, he doesn't use an active hold in the factory firmware on this because of heat issues and battery drain. It causes excessive heat. It causes excessive battery drain. And he felt like the factory drag brake was good enough for most rigs. Now, you can see there, finger off the throttle. We rolled back a little bit. Let me go back up again. For what it's worth, this incline that I'm on, this part of the rock right here, is 44 degrees. Finger is off the trigger. We're rolling back just ever so slightly, very slowly, and then it holds. This is no active brake. This is just full drag brake engaged. Now it's rolling back a little more. Drag brake engaged. Again, I haven't touched the throttle. So Tyrac 2.0 weighs about 6 pounds. Rolling back again. So we're holding good enough for me. If this isn't good enough for you, now we're rolling again. If you need better hold on an incline than that, he does have a firmware release that gives you better hold. And he's got some videos on his YouTube channel explaining this in more detail. And actually, if you go to this Motors page on his website, those videos are linked. But he's got a firmware that you can enable active drag brake, which will hold just like a Hobbywing does, because that's basically what Hobbywing uses, is active drag brake. And Holmes has used this in some of his ESCs in the past with the Crawlmasters and like the Torquemaster brushed, the Torquemaster XL, the brushed ESC, has Holmes hold or active drag brake. And what active drag brake is basically it uses sensors to detect when it is sliding, and it applies the correct amount of throttle to the motor to keep it from sliding. So active hold is actually, in an oversimplified way of describing it, a lot of leaves here that's making it hard for me to see where the road is. A simplified way of explaining active drag brake is it's basically like applying very low throttle when you're on a hill to hold yourself in place. So steering wise, we're running a Holmes SHV 650 high voltage servo, not the LP model, not the low profile motor. And then we've got a Holmes Tug Buddy winch. Of course, the Rock Claws make short work of my course here, as they did in their review. Ooh, we're buried in leaves there. I might have to try to sweep some of the leaves off of this trail obstacle. But there we are, guys. There's Tyrac 2. Overall, I'm pretty happy. Like I said, I need to do some suspension tuning and I need to just get some time behind the wheel. But overall, I'm really excited about this rig. Let's take a quick look at it. Just kind of go over a couple things. So there's our Holmes 2-in-1 motor, our Holmes Tug Buddy, and a 650 HV servo. And that's pretty much all there is under the hood. We don't have fenders. We don't have a lot of goodies like we do in Tire Rack to make it more scale accurate. There's those friction shocks. Again, these could be getting changed with something else. I might try to do some tuning with different springs or different oil weights or something, but overall, I think the shock just might be too loose. It picks up that front end really easily. We got completely unloaded on that front end. But we might try to figure out a couple other things. Again, might do some tuning with the rear links, see if we can't get more dive, more push from the rear to keep that front planted. But lots to come with 2.0. I'm liking this rig a lot. You might notice, why are we running this? This is because one of the plans I have for this rig is for it to be a motor testing platform, so I can quickly just swap out the motor, and then I'll, whatever ESC that I might have to use to run a different motor, I'll put in there. So this is just something quick to mount and dismount an ESC to. But yeah, I'm excited about this rig. I think it's going to be a good one. I got a couple things to iron out, but I would plan on seeing him quite a bit. Till next time, everybody, have a good one.